I'm back, and we're going to move on to chapter 3. So, looking at again how to encourage people in this time of isolation. We have so far been introduced to Toya, who is on her seventh foster home, and I've been trying to make connections between the story and what we're dealing with today. And what I want to talk about today is the pressure or the stress of being isolated from people we love and care about, the frustration of not being able to talk to or connect with the people that we want to most want to connect with. So I brought with me today to share with us as we're reading. Oh, her hair is a mess. She's going to be so upset. Um, I'm going to call her Gwenny. That's her name. Um, After my mother. So there you go. You see her little belly open and all that. So this doll was given to me. My mother passed away suddenly, and the day that I found out that she was gone, after I pulled myself up off the floor, and later in the day, I went to visit with my aunt and my cousin gave me this doll. She just wanted to do something to cheer me up. She knew I was sad, and she just gave this to me, and I kept her. And I guess in some ways, my mom was my biggest cheerleader, and this was a doll my cousin was selling at the time to support her daughter's cheer squad. I think that's what why she was had this. Whatever. I have kept this doll. It always reminds me of that day. There's all kinds of reminders of my mother around me, but in this time of isolation, you kind of think about things like that. The people who are with you, the people who aren't with you. It's just natural that those things come to mind. And for Toya in the story, she's dealing with a similar situation, though the circumstances are very different. So I want to jump into the story and explore that when I'm done and talk about how we deal with being separated from our loved ones, especially when it's through no fault of our own. So we're going to get started and get this hair out my face because it's irritating me. Okay, so chapter 3. Tuesdays at Sassy's was Senior Citizen Day. A press and curl was only $25 for ladies over 65 on Tuesdays, so the place was packed. And these weren't the sweet, soft talking grannies I had been expecting. These ladies were loud and rowdy, talking about everything from men to menopause. Miss Angie broke out her old Motown CDs and served strawberries and champagne to the ones who weren't too holy to drink. Despite the party vibe in the salon, I was wiped out. I had been up till 2 in the morning taking out my braids. My fingers started cramping around midnight. And just when I was about to find a pair of scissors and cut the stupid braids out of my hair, Chelsea came to the rescue. At that point, I was glad to listen to her motor mouth run, just as long as I could give my hands a break. Sitting there, unraveling braid after braid, Chelsea told me all of her business. I learned that Chelsea loved pizza and hated broccoli. She was an honor student. No surprise there. She looked like a bookworm. More importantly, Chelsea was so smart that she actually skipped the 5th grade. That meant even though she was only 13, she would be starting high school this year. Hey, maybe we could have lunch together, she said, brimming with the eagerness of a freshman. Or maybe not, I thought. We took a break at 1 in the morning and we both stretched our legs and made some microwave popcorn. As soon as we sat back down, the motor mouth flipped on her switch again. This time, things got more personal. Chelsea talked about her dad who had moved to Texas after the divorce. She went to see him 3 times a year. He was a financial analyst in Dallas, Texas, and this summer he taught her how to buy stock on the internet. She made $600, part of which she used to buy a new telescope, and the rest went into her savings. My father once taught me how to shoot craps. I made $8. That was years ago, before he dropped off the face of the earth. My mom said it was the drugs. Chelsea said her parents had been divorced for 6 years. But I'm not one of those kids who secretly wishes her parents would get back together, she told me. They fought way too much. I like it the way it is, peace and quiet. Besides, I want Mommy to marry Uncle Kevin. I looked at Chelsea strangely until she laughed and said, He's not my real uncle, silly. He's Mommy's friend. They were boyfriend and girlfriend in college before she met my dad. She lost track of him after that. Then, when we were in the supermarket one day, there he was. Turns out Uncle Kevin and Mommy had been living in the same town for years and didn't even know it. Isn't that something? Sometimes they go out to the movies. Then she said in a hushed tone, Don't tell Mommy this, but I saw them kissing once. Miss Angie? For some reason, I couldn't picture my new foster mom in love. I couldn't see Miss Angie acting all silly over a boy like I did, or letting some man boss her around like my mom did. She don't know I saw her. I was supposed to be asleep. But when I heard the car pull up and all this slow music coming from the radio, I just had to see what they were doing. So Miss Angie has a boyfriend. Uh-uh. Please don't tell her I told you that, because she'll swear it up and down that she don't. She and Uncle Kev are just friends. Yeah, friends who make out in the car. We laughed so loud that Miss Angie had to tell us to tone it down. Sorry, we sang in unison, then shared a quiet giggle. Thinking about that conversation put a smile on my face, even now as I watched Miss Angie hustling between clients, putting a deep conditioner in one silver-haired lady's hair, then teasing out the curls in the head of a heavy-set lady in a red velour sweatsuit. I wonder what kind of man Miss Angie would go for. She was pretty, had her own money, her own business. She had it all together. This man Kevin must have had a lot of money, a big house. He probably drove a Cadillac or a BMW. How would Miss Angie react if she found out her boyfriend was sneaking into her little girl's room? Would she take his side if Chelsea told her he was touching her private parts? Those questions were still floating in my brain, unanswered, when Miss Angie noticed me. There you are. She waltzed over and put her arm around my shoulder. Everybody, meet Latoya, my foster child. It still made me wince to be introduced like that. Foster child. She might as well have said, my fake child. But I gave a quick wave, and the old ladies all beamed at me with grins on their faces. Miss Angie continued. Toya will be in the 11th grade this year. Let's see. She grew up in Philly with her mom, but they put her in foster care because her mom's boyfriend was molesting her. Instantly, I shot Miss Angie a horrified look. What? Because I said you were molested? She turned to her clients and put her hand on her hip. Anyone in here who's ever been sexually abused or knows someone close who was sexually abused, raise your hand. Every hand in the place went up, including Miss Angie's. She turned to me. See? I said that because I want you to see you're not alone. It's a sisterhood up in here, girl. This place is our therapy. Amen to that, a woman yelled from underneath the hairdryer. That put me at ease, and I could feel my smile coming back. A little. Well, now that we've got that straight, let's deal with this hair. Miss Angie pulled the scarf off my head and revealed a mass of thick, unpermed hair. What do you want me to do with it? Ponytail? Wrap it? Shave it all off? I shrugged my shoulders. Does your mom let you relax your hair? She asked, carefully examining the split ends. Uh-huh. You sure? Because I don't want nobody getting mad at me. The whole conversation was pointless to me. I hadn't seen my mother in over a year. I could have dyed it green, and I'm sure my mom wouldn't care. Once she got over being angry with me for what happened with Mr. Rick on the night in question, Tamika, my mother, had visited pretty regularly. Every other week at social service agency. at the social service agency. We started going out to different places: McDonald's, the movies, the mall, the park. I couldn't visit my mother at her home because of the restraining order against Mr. Rick, but the visits were going well. Lots of laughing and gossiping, talking about the neighbors, taking pictures. My mom even gave me a prepaid cell phone so I could keep in touch. Then one day, Tamika called the agency and told them she had to cancel her visit. She wasn't feeling well. Then the next visit came. She was a half hour late, so there really wasn't any time to do anything. And she also seemed distant. I could feel her slipping away. I wasn't even surprised when Tamika canceled the next visit, and then the next one. After a while, she didn't even bother to call. She just stopped showing up. I still had the prepaid cell phone, but my mom's cell phone was off. She won't care what you do to my hair, I said, deflated. I could tell that Miss Angie detected the faint hint of sadness in my voice. She probably sensed that talking about my mom had made me miss her. I could see her trying to think of something. What could be said to cheer her up? What magic words existed that would fill that mom-sized hole in this young girl's heart? Nothing came to mind. All Miss Angie could do was what she did best. Okay then, let me work my magic on this hair. Miss Angie's magic consisted of a relaxer followed by a deep conditioning with some concoction that smelled like spearmint and made my scalp feel all tingly. She worked her scissors like a surgeon, slicing away split ends and shaping my hair into a work of art. 2 hours later, I was staring at myself in the mirror, marveling at how my hair bounced and shined. My hair was cut into a bob, but it was still long enough to pull into a ponytail when necessary. You like it? It looks good, I said, unable to tear my eyes away from the mirror. Thanks, Miss Angie. I jumped up and gave her a hug. I hadn't expected to do that. It just came out of me. The way Miss Angie was welcoming me, going out of her way to be nice to me, who wouldn't feel grateful? But in the same moment, I pulled back. I had experience with other foster parents who treated me like gold at first. Then before I knew it, they were calling me all kinds of ugly names, kicking me out of their lovely homes. How long would Miss Angie's nice act last? Her nice was the worst kind of nice, because it seemed so real, and when it goes away, it was going to hurt all the more. You okay? She asked, seeing that the sadness had returned to my eyes. Yeah, I'm just tired. I looked away because I could feel Miss Angie reading my eyes. I think I'm going to take a nap. I hurried out of the room before anything else showed up in my eyes. When I reached the top of the stairs, I could hear them talking. I knew it. They're all two-faced. I hung around so I could hear what they really thought of me. One of the customers, Miss Gladys, was saying, "Poor thing, she must have been through so much. Such a pretty girl, and she got to carry such a burden," another added. The others sighed in agreement. I heard Miss Angie call for her next client, Miss Coretta, to climb in her chair. I pictured Miss Coretta waddling over and plopping in her chair, drops of water trickling from her freshly shampooed hair. "She's a pretty girl, all right. Better be careful, Angie. It won't be long before the neighborhood boys come sniffing around here." "Coretta," Miss Gladys crowed. "I'm just saying. I've seen her come before. Fast, fast, fast. Girls like that are always chasing after the ding-a-ling," Miss Coretta announced, apparently not at all concerned about who might be blushing. "That's right, I said it, the ding-a-ling. Like they got something to prove." "She'll be fine, Miss Corey." That was Miss Angie. I heard a rustling sound, and that must have been the plastic apron being tied around Miss Coretta's neck to keep her clothes dry. I hope Miss Angie would strangle the old hag with the thing. Miss Coretta kept running her mouth. It's not her I'm worried about. You got your own daughter to think about. You got Chelsea on the right path. Honor student, singing on the choir, playing with dolls. It only takes one bad apple to spoil the barrel, you know? No, I don't know. All I'm saying is it's still your job to pick your daughter's role models. You picked the wrong one. Next thing you know, sweet little Chelsea is pushing her own little baby girl in a carriage. I've seen it happen all too many. Miss Coretta had plenty more to say, but I guess Miss Angie had heard enough. She clicked on the blow dryer, which drowned out the sound of that old lady's voice. I wish she would blow Miss Coretta right out the door. That's the end of chapter 3. Did you like that, Quinny? She says yes. All right, that's good. So that was a short chapter, but there's a lot there to dig into. First thing I want to point out is I told you I wrote this book in 2015. So you saw that in the story, she got a perm. My sisters know what perms are, but people don't really get perms anymore. I don't even think I've had a perm since 2014. I think that was the last time I got a perm. So we're all down on perms, but she got hers. It looked good. We all know what it felt like to have your hair all straight and silky, and you could put it in a ponytail. You could do whatever you wanted. So that's what she had. Besides that, how do I relate what she dealt with in that chapter to what we're dealing with today? We saw in the story that she has not heard from her mother in over a year. I have seen this many times as a social worker back in the day when I was a social worker, that kids would get all excited for a family visit or a parent visiting, and it didn't happen. Or sometimes parents would just completely drop off. They wouldn't even call anymore. They just fell off the face of the earth. And other times it would be legitimate reasons why the parent who has been visiting couldn't make it this one specific time. And regardless of the situation, it always hits kids hard. Even if there's a good reason, they will still find a way to tie it back to them, that there's something about me that caused this person not to want to come see me this time. So that's a battle that they all have to deal with. And that's something that Toya is dealing with, the sadness of knowing her mom's out there somewhere and she can't talk to her or connect with her. Kind of like what we're dealing with today. In her situation, the state told her, for your safety, we are keeping these people away from you. And just like us, the state, our government has said, for our safety, we cannot have contact with people that we want to have contact with, our loved ones, our schoolmates, or whatever. The difference is that we do have a wealth of technology that we can use to stay connected. We can Skype. We can just use our cell phones. We can send texts. We have lots of different avenues through which we can use to connect, not only with friends and family here, but all over the world. We can connect with people. And that's kind of what I'm doing here, is connecting, because connection keeps us grounded. It keeps us reminded that we're not alone. When we're feeling particularly stressed, just hearing a familiar voice, a loving voice, can just bring everything back down. So I encourage you, if you are feeling particularly stressed, if you are feeling particularly anxious, to reach out to somebody. You'll be surprised how just a 5-minute conversation can make all that anxiety go away. And if you're feeling great and you're not feeling any kind of stress, then reach out to someone anyway. They may need to hear from you. They may need to hear your voice. So works both ways. And this is how we're going to get through it. Use this technology that we have to be able to stay in connection. If you're really adventurous, write a letter. When's the last time I got a love letter or any kind of letters? Write a letter. That's another way to stay connected. And that's something you can have tangibly in your hands. You can put it in a scrapbook or whatever. So I recommend that as well. We're going to have more discussion about what we can do and how we can help each other through this process. We're going to find out more about what's happening in Toya's world and how it relates to what we're dealing with when we get to chapter 4. So I encourage you to keep listening. I'm going to keep reading. if you have questions or comments, I ask you to put it in the comment box and subscribe if